Hi everybody, it's Brooke from Quagensia, and in this video I will show you how you can add a stop loss to a pre-existing point-and-click strategy for NinjaTrader without code in Quagensia N Edition. In this video we will build this logic that says if the input parameter called use stop loss is set to true, in other words, if its checkbox is checked in NinjaTrader, then set a stop loss for our strategy using the calculation mode of percent and a calculation value of another decimal valued input parameter called stop loss percent, where 0.08 equals 8% and 0.09 equals 9%. By using a decimal valued input parameter called stop loss percent instead of a text box with the number 0.08 in it, it allows us to change the value of calculation value from NinjaTrader's user interface, including in its backtester as well as on live charts. Furthermore, by using an input parameter here, we will be able to optimize over the calculation value in NinjaTrader's optimizer. And by putting this set stop loss function inside of an if block that requires the use stop loss input parameter to be true or the checkbox to be checked, it allows us to turn off the stop loss if we don't want to use it and turn it back on when we do. Furthermore, the NinjaTrader optimizer allows optimizations over booleans, not just numbers, so we could run an optimization over 1,000 different input parameter sets where half of them use a stop loss and half do not. The strategy we are looking at now is called Bollinger Bands Long Entry on Breakout Above Upper Band with stop loss, and the only difference between that strategy and the one above it, which doesn't have the word with stop loss at the end, is that the one above it doesn't have a stop loss. So we will turn this one above it into the one we're looking at now. So let's go ahead and create a copy of the Bollinger Bands Long Entry on Breakout Above Upper Band strategy, which is built into Quagensia N Edition, by clicking on it and choosing Create New Strategy from Copy of this strategy. Let's name it Above Upper Band. Let's say with stop loss. And just so we can differentiate it from the one that's built in, let's put the word my in front. Change its name on disk to say my, and then say with SL, WSL, stop loss. So let's go ahead and save this strategy by pressing Ctrl S or clicking the save button here. We will save it to our My Algos folder. And there it is, my Bollinger Bands Long Entry on Breakout Above Upper Band with stop loss. So this is now our personal strategy. It's no longer the template from the built-in ones. So we can edit it ourselves. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and move the one we were looking at in the beginning of the video, which is here. Let's move that one. Let's move it to the tab group on the right. So the way you do that is you click on this gear icon here. To move this one over, you say, move this Algos tab to the tab group in column 2 of the upper row. And let's go ahead and make some space. So we're going to move the splitter bar to hide the Algo Explorer. And now we're going to turn this one that we just cloned that doesn't have a stop loss into this one that does. So this one doesn't have a stop loss. We're going to add it here. To do that, let's see how they're different. So we first have to add input parameters. So we're looking at the input parameters of the one that has a stop loss. It has a use stop loss input parameter and a stop loss percent input parameter. So let's go ahead and just copy the names use stop loss. It's a Boolean input parameter with a default value of true. And then there's one more. There's a stop loss percent. input parameter. And it is a decimal number with default value of 0.02. And by default, the type is decimal number already, so we don't need to change that. All right, so we just changed the input parameters of our strategy to match the built-in one that has the stop loss. Let's do the rest. So both have a Bollinger Band indicator. I guess we could change the colors of the Bollinger Band plots to be a little different from the default one. Yellow, blue, and purple. And the logic of the two in the WinBar update section is the same. So a long position will be taken when the close price crosses above the upper band of the Bollinger Band indicator while the close price is going up. And the position will be exited when the close price crosses below the middle line of the Bollinger Bands indicator. And that's all the same between the strategies. Where they differ is in their money management sections. So let's go ahead and copy this logic over here. So first of all, click the Add Trading Logic link. And under Conditional Trading Logic, if then else, choose an if block. And we will choose the use stop loss input parameter and say if it is equal to true, then we will add this stop loss. So for that, click on Add Trading Logic. And under stop loss orders, choose Set Stop Loss for Entire Position. And then to finish it off, here we have the calculation value is the input parameter, so we will change this hard-coded value of 0.08 to our input parameter called stop loss percent. And that's it. We're done. So we can go ahead and save our strategy. And let's go ahead and send it to NinjaTrader and do a backtest and optimization. But first, let's open NinjaTrader, then open the NinjaScript editor, because the NinjaScript editor has to be open before you send strategies to NinjaTrader so that they will be automatically compiled so you can use them immediately in backtests and optimizations. So now that the NinjaScript editor is open, let's go ahead and send our code to NinjaTrader by clicking this button, the Generate Code and Copy Code File to NinjaTrader Strategy Code Folder button. And in a minute, you will hear the sound of success. And there it was. Our strategy has been compiled by NinjaTrader because the NinjaScript editor window was open before we sent it to NinjaTrader. So let's go ahead and backtest and optimize our strategy. So back in NinjaTrader, let's open up the strategy analyzer right here. And let's choose the one we just made. It ended with WSL with stop loss. And I've already connected to the kinetic market data. So let's do GLD, and let's choose weekly bars and go back to 2005. And before we run our backtest, let's look at the input parameters that we added to our strategy. Here we have the use stop loss input parameter. It is a checkbox, and it is checked because it is true by default. We did that in our strategy. And here's our stop loss percent, which defaults to 2% or 0.02. So because this checkbox is checked, we will have stop losses in our strategy. If we unchecked it like this, our strategy would only exit when the midline of the Bollinger Bands indicator was crossed, but we will check it, so we will also exit on a 2% stop loss. Let's go ahead and run a back test. It finished, and the profit factor is 3.8. That's pretty great. There were only 13 trades, though, in many years, so that's something to be aware of. It's not a lot of, that's a small sample size. But let's go ahead and look at the chart. And here you see here right away we exited via stop loss. In this case, we got stopped out before we would have made more money had we crossed the midline here and then exited via market order on the open of this bar right there. So this stop loss hurt us, but let's find a stop loss that helped us. Oh, real quick, here's an example where there was no stop loss that got hit. So the close price breached the upper band of the Bollinger Bands indicator, and we didn't get stopped out. The market did not go 2% below the fill price. And then eventually we got the exit signal occurred when the close price of this bar right here, this little red bar, crossed below the middle line of the Bollinger Bands indicator, submitting a market order which was filled in the back test on the open of the bar after the signal bar, which is here. So in this case, we made money and we didn't get stopped out. But let's find an example where a stop loss order helped us and kept us from losing more money. That's the goal. Here's a good example. So in this case, the close price of the weekly bars breached, crossed above the upper band of the Bollinger Bands indicator here. So a market order was submitted and filled to enter a position on this bar. And the market went down over 2%. And here we got stopped out. And had we not been stopped out here, we would have stayed long during this price action. And we would have breached the middle line of the Bollinger Bands indicator here, and we would have been filled via market order on the open of this bar here. So we would have done less well had we not had a stop loss here. So yeah, so that's so that's an example where we ran the back test with a stop loss. Let's run it without a stop loss. So let's go ahead and uncheck this checkbox and rerun the back test. And you will see exits will only occur on the cross below the middle line. So here's an example. This is the same one that got stopped out about here, right there, but it actually, was able to make all the money it was going to make by exiting via middle line cross below here instead of getting stopped out down here. And again, we had the midline cross. In fact, all the exits here, because we've unchecked the use stop loss checkbox, every exit will just be an LX. It will say LX instead of stop loss, because the exit order in the Quagensia N Edition, I'll just show you really quickly. The exit market order right here, exit entire position, is LX, but the name of the order in NinjaTrader for the stop loss is called stop loss. So you will see that every order has name LX, and they're all because of a cross under the middle line of the Bollinger Band. So yeah, the stop loss functionality was properly turned off as we hoped. So let's go ahead and run an optimization. So to do that, under backtest type here, change it to optimization. And let's optimize the Bollinger Band period from 12 to 60. And let's optimize the use stop loss. So right now it says use stop loss. It's our input parameter. It's hard-coded to true. Let's go ahead and optimize. So we'll try half of the optimizations with true and half with false. So we'll click optimize for the checkbox. And then for the stop loss percent, let's optimize from 2% to 20. step 1%, so step 0.01. All right, so let's do it. Let's run the optimization. So it's doing 1,862 runs. I am not speeding this video up. NinjaTrader is just very fast at optimizations, so it already finished. So let's take a look. Whoa. So it looks like the very best optimization, the very best strategy had a Bollinger Bands moving average period of 59 and 2 standard deviations for the upper and lower bands from the midline, and it used stop losses and a 2% stop. So, and I bet you it only had 6 trades, so this is not exactly statistically significant, but it's still interesting. So I just wanted to show you, and then here you can see, so here we have true. It's 59, 2, and true. True is our checkbox, use stop loss, true or false. So, and the one below it, it's 59, 2, and false. So it looks like the best set of parameters, the top 2 here, the best had a stop loss, the second best didn't have a stop loss. So kind of all over the map. So if I look at all the trues and falses on the list here, out of the top 10, there was a mix of strategies that performed well with the stop loss and some that didn't. I think I'll end the discussion of the optimization results here because there are so few trades per backtest, and also because the purpose of this video was really to show you how you can add a stop loss to your point and click strategies for NinjaTrader without coding Quagensia N Edition, and how by using a use stop loss input parameter that can be true or false, you can create a strategy whose stop losses can be turned off in backtests, on live charts, and can be optimized over in the NinjaTrader optimizer by changing the true or false to the drop-down list item optimize, so that you can have optimization runs that are half with stop loss being set and half without. You probably already guessed this, but the technique we used to turn a stop loss on and off applies to profit targets and trailing stops as well. To see an example of other money management techniques that you can turn on and off, we're going to go ahead and go back to Quagensia N Edition, and here's the strategy we just added the stop loss to. And if you want to learn how to do the same thing with a trailing stop, just open up this strategy called Bollinger Bands Long Entry on Breakout Above Upper Band with trailing stop. And when you scroll down to the money management section, you will see this very similar logic. It's just if an input parameter called use trailing stop is true, then set a trailing stop using calculation mode of percent and a calculation value of another decimal valued input parameter called trailing stop percent. If you want to learn how to add a profit target that you can turn on and off, you can open this strategy called moving average crossover long short reversal with profit target. When you scroll down to the bottom of that strategy, in its money management section, it has the same logic, but it's just if use profit target is set to true, then set a profit target that has a calculation value based on an input parameter called profit target percent. And if you want to learn how to add a time stop based on a specified number of bars that you can turn on or off to a strategy, you can open up this strategy called Bollinger Bands Long Entry on Breakout Above Upper Band with time stop. And this one's a little more complicated because rather than adding the logic to the money management section as you would do for a profit target, trailing stop, or stop loss, you will add it to the win bar update section, which executes every bar close or every tick. So here's the entry condition that we had for our Bollinger Bands. And here's the exit condition where we add one. So just like in the strategy upon which this video was based, we are still exiting if the close crosses below the middle line of the Bollinger Band, but we will also exit if Use Time Stop is set to true by its checkbox being checked in the NinjaTrader user interface, and if the bar's sense entry for the signal named LE is greater than or equal to another input parameter called number of bars to be long. So now you've seen one example each of how to add a stop loss, trailing stop, profit target, and time stop to your strategies, and how you can turn them on or off by adding a simple Boolean true or false input parameter that appears as a checkbox in the NinjaTrader user interface. This video only scratches the surface of the kinds of money management techniques you can add to your strategies without code in Quagensia N Edition. If you would like to learn about significantly more complicated, interesting money management techniques, I recommend that you go to a web page on the Quagensia.com website that you can access by opening this strategy called Bollinger Bands Long Entry on Breakout Above Upper Band with Stop Loss, scrolling down to its money management section, and copying the URL in the comment in code that will send you to an article titled How to Add Money Management Logic to Your Strategies in Quagensia N Edition. So we're going to copy that, paste it into a browser, and from there you can check out some related articles, and you can read the article that will answer some of the more complicated questions you may have. And that's it. That's the end of our video. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please let us know by giving this video a like and subscribing to our channel. And if you loved it, please consider sharing this video. Have a great day.